Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it, you already know. Like a torta with some smack cabbage. Bye up, bye up. Let's get to the old school intro. Welcome back to the channel. And if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, make sure you go ahead and do that. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directing the direction of the dope content that the gun stays kicking. And I appreciate your support, man. I'm very humbled by it. So let's talk about Jakey the Snakey. Paz! Paz, paz, paz. Not tas, 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 but paz, motherfucker. Palo. Palo. 31 years, right? 31 flavors. And he's going to have his choice of everything. Or he might not even have a choice. They might just give him 32 flavors. Fuck him, right? He's gone. Hasta la hola. Hasta la bye-bye. Hasta la nola, right? See you later, alligator. And after a long while, crocodile, Jake Haro is now convicted, signed, sealed, and delivered to the Department of Corrections for 31 years. Now, what does that mean? That means he has 25 years to life with the consecutive 6 years, 8 months ran wild, right? So if that man was ever to go to board, and I mean, just he has to be a perfect angel and just do all the programs and be just a model fucking convict prisoner, right? Which is very hard to do in the California Department of Corrections, especially with charges, baby killers, right? But if he's able to avoid all the shady moves that are coming his way, okay, and that's gonna take a miracle. But if he's willing and able to go and just put his head down and do what he's got to do and hope that no one recognizes who the fuck he is when everybody knows who he is and they're waiting on him. If that miracle happens and he gets granted, okay, you're good, you're a model citizen, but spaghetti-o, you still owe us 6 years, 8 months. So it's good. It's needless to say, that guy is going to sit in prison for the rest of his life. Now, I want to tell you guys a secret. I was told something yesterday. A little birdie whispered in my ear, right? And it was actually put out on IG and on TikTok by other people who were covering yesterday's sentencing hearing. And so when I was told, I thought I caught it, but I wasn't too sure. And then someone told me about it. Thank you. They know who they are. And I immediately started to vet it, this story, right? And as I went down that rabbit hole, I started hearing a few different people saying the same thing. So I had to go a little bit further. I had to make a few little calls. And I found out there was a lot of truth behind this. So if you remember correctly, this is Jake Haro's little secret in county jail. Well, I guess they kept it secretive for whatever reason. Honestly, it was none of our business. It probably wasn't to be put out there. But eventually everything gets put out there. Everything gets exposed. That's just how the world works. Can't hide shit, right? Someone's always going to find out. But when Jake initially got incarcerated for baby Manuel's killing, right? For being the murderer of baby Manuel. Now we could say it. We don't have to say allegedly. We don't have to say maybe. We don't have to say she did it or he did. The fucker admitted it. That's on you, Holmes, right? But while he was incarcerated in the county jail, about a week after being locked up, remember the main focus on him was this alleged undercover that they put into the cell with him, and that he admitted that he rolled over and that he killed baby Emmanuel and then he threw him in the trash, and that fucking fake story. And then there was a lot of people that were denying that ever happened, that there was ever any undercover that recorded him secretly or got him to, admit guilt, to make, whoever decided to lie about it, they lied about it. It happened. It was put out there by a very reliable news source. But anyways, everybody's attention was focused on that. A couple days later, he was moved from that county jail to the county jail that he sits down and he resides in right now. And a lot of people were wondering why. And there was a lot of people, well, maybe they're separating him from the county jail where Rebecca is housed. Maybe there's a reason for that. And I always thought to myself, why? If you have a crimey that's a female and she's not going to be housed with you, you're not going to be in the same block. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to have no action at communication. They make sure that the men and the females are separated. You might see them in booking. You might see them when they're getting out or in passing on the way to an appointment in there, a doctor's appointment or whatever. But the fact is, you're not going to have frequent, continual correspondence with them unless you're writing through the mail and you're allowed to. Usually when it's a crime partner, you're not allowed to write within the facility, right? Because they don't want you messing up the safety and security of the facility. That's a threat. It is a threat to the integrity of what they got going on in that county jail. So I thought to myself, why would they separate this guy? Because there's been plenty of times I've been locked up with like a homegirl. We all got caught up at a house party. There was a gun there or whatever. Everyone gets locked up. And they just house the homegirls on the other side. I know in Sandy Mush, where I used to go all the time, it's a county jail, kind of like I wouldn't say, we call it a road camp, right? It was out in El Nido, California, for Merced County. Everyone goes to Planada, Los Baños, Merced, Dos Palos. Anyways, you can find any type of character there. They did have the females on the other side of the chow hall. And so when we did work the chow hall back in the days and we were in there, you know what I'm saying, we used to get to see some titties. But that was about it. But there was, the communication with sign language and all that. It wasn't too much of a big deal. The whole moral of that is that they didn't separate us. They didn't send us to a whole different county jail. That was where the females were housed, and that was that. Maybe it was because I come from a smaller county, a smaller jail facility, and they didn't have more action at separating us. But whatever. When Jake was separated and put in a different county jail, there was a lot of people that were saying it's because they don't want him to be where Rebecca's at. But that's kind of funny because they'll take them on, to the court together. They're in the same courtroom. They're separated, but there's a lot of communication that could happen and go on. Okay. It's not hard for Jake to get a hold of a family member and then they relay a message. And there's a lot of ways to do a lot of things, if you're locked up. But that's not why they separated Jake. And now the reasoning why they put Jake in a different facility, there could be a number of different things that go into it. But this is what I was able to uncover, what I heard from someone else first. I'm not the first person to say this. And I was able to vet and dig deep and find out. So somewhere about that week after Jake was put into that cell with that undercover, or right next to him in a cell, and he confessed, that undercover was able to extract a confession from Jake. Jake tried to unalive himself. Yeah, that happened, right? In the midst of doing that, officers responded to his cell and he was unresponsive. They were able to revive him and bring him back. Now, with that being said, I don't know if the initial county jail he was in had enough doctors or medical personnel on site to facilitate overseeing this guy. When people try to do that while incarcerated, from that moment on, that goes on their jacket, that goes in their file, and they got to get put on unaliving watch, if you know what I'm saying, right? Suicide, right? They got to get put on that watch. And the way that works, man, I remember being in administrative segregation, and there was a homie that came in, and then all of a sudden he was found unresponsive in his cell. They found some sheets, whatever, right? He decided for whatever reason out of the blue to take his life. He immediately, what happened was they dressed him in a smock, which is like it was like a big, thick. They took his clothes off, buck naked, put a smock on him, and threw him in a close custody cell. But they could easily monitor. There was a camera in that cell, and he had nothing in there. And I know he stood in there several weeks. For the first 3 days, he got nothing. They monitored him, just food, right? Soft items. And then over time, they give him like one sock, then another sock, then a blanket. He never got sheets, anything like that. These things that he would get were too thick to twist up. And then eventually he would come out of there after being monitored. They would check him every 5 minutes. And that's how that went. So Jake was definitely placed on that. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, well, they were going to place him on that because he was in there for a child murder. No, it doesn't work that way. They don't automatically have to place you on there. You have to give them reasoning, say something, or do something for you to get placed on suicide watch, right? That's what he was placed on. So the cowardice of Jake, who will beat women, who will beat children, who will kill his own children, right? Couldn't take the heat, so he tried to get the fuck up out the kitchen. Now, let's not make light of it, because I've had friends and family that have been involved in unaliving themselves, right? It's a sad thing because psychologically, you don't know what's going on in their head. Sometimes you see the signs, sometimes you don't. So shit happens, right? And I don't want to belittle anyone that's family members have went through that and think that I'm calling them a coward, because I'm not. But Jake, the only reasoning behind him trying that is because he wanted to take the coward's way out and didn't want to do the time. See, there's a whole lot of people out here that are willing to do the crime. Oh, they want to beat their old lady up. They want to kick the kid. They want to kick the dog. They want to do a whole lot of bullshit. But when they have to sit down, then they start crying. Case in point, yesterday during the sentencing, Jake didn't have him. It was a dry eye in that motherfucker, right? Hey, we'll leave the light on for you. He didn't have a teary eye. Didn't need no Visine. His eyes were white as ghosts, right? The moment that judge started to impose sentence, the moment Rebecca's fucking mother, who I don't believe whatsoever, but we're going to get to that, started to fucking cry and bawl. Raggy, right? He was doing the rut-row raggy. Jakey the Snakey turned into Shaggy. He was doing the rut-row raggy, right? His ass, hey, he's seen the abominable snowman. His ass was crying. Not because he unalived his son, not because he almost unalived himself like a coward because he couldn't do time, but merely because he was getting sentenced to the time that he deserves, and he deserved even more. He got very lucky. Now, his luck done ran out, because I'm going to explain to you what's happening next. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. If you hear rumors that Jake did try that, and that's why he was moved to a different county jail, it wasn't to separate him from Rebecca. It wasn't to help him in his case. It was because they had better medical staff at this Riverside County Jail, or whatever county jail he's in right now, to help facilitate monitoring this guy, because he was trying to take his own life because he's a coward. He was scared to go do time. He knew what he did. He still knows what he does. We don't know the exact words. Maybe perhaps they'll come out more from Rebecca's side, because we obviously know, if you didn't see the footprint put out there yesterday, if you didn't see the foundation set, let me run it down for you. Okay, but first, let me explain to you what's going to happen with Jakey the Snakey. Raggy. So Rubber Raggy is sitting in his jail cell today. Now, I don't know about your county jail, but in Merced County Jail, where I frequented, where I went to Tracy Prison several times from, they usually did prison transport from the county jail on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That means that you had to catch the chain early morning on Tuesday or a Thursday. Now, again, our reception, our CDC reception, prison reception, was Tracy DVI, okay? Dual Vocational Institute. So we would be sent there early morning. They wake you up about 4 or 5 in the morning, send you. Now, most county jails, that's the way they do it. It's Tuesdays and Thursdays transport. So we can look forward to Jake either being transported to prison on Thursday, which is 2 days from now, today's Tuesday, or next week, Tuesday. Okay, now his reception, according to everything I heard, I'm not for sure 100%, because with his type of diabolical case and the type of fucking individual he is, they could send him where they want to send him, but they usually send you to your reception, which for that county is going to be Wasco State Prison. The same reception that they sent Cain Velasquez to, right? Wasco covers a long range of counties. Wasco is also the home of the Fresno Bulldogs. That's where all Bulldogs are sent from Fresno County to Wasco. They actually are separated and have their own yards there. But this man will be sent to Wasco State Prison, I believe, either Thursday or next Tuesday. Don't quote me on that, but this is just what I'm feeling, right? And upon his arrival, he's going to be taken directly into a cage in R&R, more than likely separated or put with people that have that's very rare to be in there, a child killer, right? But other weirdos, probably essays and things like that, or he'll be separated into his own cage. Now, when he gets on that bus, there will be separated cages away from just regular seating. He'll probably be either put in those regular cages, or if it's a bus with a lot of people with weird cases going that way, they'll put the active or the GP inmates in the cages. That's how it goes, right? No harm, no foul. He'll be taken off of, once he gets to Wasco Prison, he'll go to R&R. Once he gets to R&R, that's when they'll be doing the questioning. There will be a gang coordinator as well as a counselor there that is going to be into doing the housing. They're going to look at his file. Of course, I believe Jake has level 4 points. He's in for a murder 2. He's got 31 years and then life. Let's not get it twisted when he has 31 years to life, because he does not have 31 years to life. He has 25 years to life with a 6-year, 8-month tail, meaning He has to do 25 years to life. That's his controlling case, which is the murder. It's the highest court. It's the highest penalty case, right? Then he has 6 years, 8 months he owes him for that joint suspension. Basically, that was the justice for Baby Promise. That was the assault he did on Baby Promise, which was more like an attempted murder. Jake should have already been doing life a long fucking time ago. They charged him wrong. Period. But at least Promise got a little bit of justice. I digress, right? So now, enough is never enough, but life is life. For those of you that are questioning life, hey, is he going to do forever? Yes, he is. Someone with that type of controlling case goes into the California prison system, whether it's SNY or not, there's not a fucking place they can put him that he's not going to be aggravated a little bit. You know what I mean? I'll just say that right now. I'm not going to sit there and say he's going to touch the yard and within 24 hours, someone's going to whack him. I don't know that. We don't know our fate. There's dudes that get on GP that are solid that go and 24 hours later, they get whacked. They didn't even touch a kid. You just never know in the prison system, but let's say this, and this is a fact, he won't go unscathed. He's going to get touched on a little bit. It's going to be unbelievable. Oh, right? It's going to be unbelievable. Row raggy. He's going to get row raggy. You know, there's ex-gang members. There's a lot of people on them yards, them SNY yards, that don't like people like him. Whether just because they're not a non-active gang member doesn't mean they don't know how to make an active knife. I'm just going to say that. So anyways, upon the questioning in R&R, he's going to be asked if he needs SNY protective custody because he's a first termer, basically, as far as it goes to prison. And he's going to request it. Yeah, they're going to know already. They're just going to give him. He's going to be like, no, I don't want it. They're going to be like, yeah, you're getting it, stupid. We ain't going to do that right up, right? If you're going to get killed, you're going to get killed over there with your own kind. And so from there, he'll be placed in the facility or the part of the facility, the building that houses SNY inmates, non-active inmates, people that have bad charge, whatever. And from that point on, he'll be transferred out to a level 4 prison. Now, will he get 180 and all that? I don't know, but I know he will be a level 4. And depending upon case factors, points, and all that, that depends on what prison he lands on. So he can land on any prison, and they're all the same pretty much, man. Hey, you get there based upon the way you act, the respect that you treat people with, and your case factors is how you're going to be treated. Row raggy. Unbelievable. Oh, right, you're done. Now, I wanted to rewind a little bit. Since we spoke on Jake, stuff some Stouffer stuffing. Yes, Stouffers. The Mandela effect don't work here. Stuff some Stouffer stuffing up in him because he's cooked. Let's talk about Rebecca. Now, she has a long road ahead of her. And like a Boyz II Men song, she hasn't come to the end of that road yet. January 21st will be her felony conference hearing. And then from there on, depending upon if a deal is put out there for her, if her charges are lessened, whatever happens, we're going to find out. That's when she'll either start her trial or not. Now, she's a piece of shit. I'll just say that right off the top. For those of you that are, maybe what? Well, maybe she was right there when he killed her son, or maybe she did it herself. I don't know. The fact remains, she has to go through the motions. She deserves as much time as Jake because she was complicit with that because she made up that story about Ola. That says enough for me. Now, her mother actually got up yesterday to do a victim impact statement. I played it in my video yesterday that I put out. And in that victim impact statement, she wanted to address Jake. She was mad at everything Jake did without ever mentioning that her daughter also did that. That her daughter also made that story up. Oh, Jake was all kinds of, you hurt my family. No. It seems like your children, your son that's locked up, your son that's locked up for killing his girlfriend, that's doing 50 plus years, your daughter who's on trial for the murder of her own child. It seems like when she was saying his family, his this, that, like they were all bad people. Well, it seems like you didn't raise some bright spots either. Seemed like you didn't bring some good ones into this world either. I don't want to belittle that woman. I understand what she was saying when she's being harassed and it's hard to live like that. I understand a mother's grief, right? Because I'm a father, and a father's grief is just as crazy, right? Mothers are a little bit more. They carry them in the womb, so they're a little bit more attached. I'll say this though. Your daughter's a piece of shit, and it seems like she was trying to lay the foundation to show us exactly what Rebecca's going to do. Either Rebecca's going to take a deal because they give her a decent deal, a 15 to 20, or she's setting that foundation. Her defense attorney, they got at the mom and they told her exactly what to say. Go up there and place blame. Talk about how your daughter was confused. Talk about how your daughter was abused. Talk about all the good things about your daughter, how he changed her, how she was manipulated, how he was a maniacal manipulator, which he was. But that don't fucking blame. And look at, man, I've seen women go through worse shit and come out on top. Ask Jennifer Lopez from the movie Enough. She whipped some ass. So did Tina. Ike walked away like rut-row raggy. She rut-row raggy Ike. Ike went from bitch to bitch, right? So shit happens. I'm going to say this, man. She was laying the groundwork for a defense that's going to say exactly what I've been saying from the beginning. Rebecca's going to say she's beaten and battered and that this guy was a maniacal manipulator and a woman beater. We know that. Now he's a convicted murderer of a child, and whatever fate he gets, he deserves. So anyways, to readjust and to go backwards one time, the theory or the rumor going around that Jake did try to unalive himself and that's why he was sent to a different facility is totally true. Totally true. Now, as far as if that's the exact reason why they sent him to another facility, because sometimes people do that. They go, like I said, through AdSeg, then they're sent right back to a different building. Maybe they didn't have, like I said, the type of building that he could be housed in where they could actually lay better eyes on him. Whatever the case may be, he did try to do that. He tried to take the coward way out. And again, man, I don't want this misconstrued with me calling anyone who does that a coward, because I've had family, like I said, that have done it, and it hurts, man. It hurts. You know, it hurts them as much as it hurts us. And I think what hurts us more is not knowing why. You know, you'll never know the reasoning behind it. Anyways, with that being said, let me know what you guys think. I hope I gave you guys a cool rundown on what's going to happen next with Jake. Like I said, Thursday or next Tuesday. Mark my words. If I'm wrong, you can tell me I'm wrong. If not, let me know. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I truly believe in. That's the betterment of all people. And also, I want you guys to know that I will be here every step of the way, bringing you all the information I can when it comes to Rebecca and her trials and tribulations and her lumpy ass butt. The gun. Bang, bang.